So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, the Occult View. So I just want to jump right into what I want to talk about. But first, let me say this: what is with grown men who get mad because, and presumably these are heterosexual men, or at least they're pretending to be. What is it with grown men who get mad or who seem to always want my attention? And I'm not talking about anybody on YouTube. I'm talking about in my real life, in my 3D walking life, not in this virtual reality, but in my 3D waking life. There's a guy that lives in my neighborhood or in my neck of the woods, and I don't like him. And I have reasons for not liking him that I'm not going to get into. One of the reasons, I will say this much. One of the reasons I do not like him is because he's taking advantage of a very, very foolish woman who thinks, excuse me, who thinks that he's her boyfriend, but he's only using her. But the woman has a lot of mental illnesses and physical ailments as well. And he's taking advantage of her. Not to mention, this guy was accused of assaulting an elderly woman who happened to be white. He's black. And that elderly woman did not get justice. She passed away not from the assault, but she passed away due to old age. And she was in her 90s. Okay? And the only reason I believe that he got off was because he got off on a technicality. And they could not really prove that he did it, even though she told them it was him. But that still wasn't enough proof for the police department, I guess. I don't know. But I believe he did it. And he knows that people know that he was accused of that. And during that entire investigation, I remember he was barred from this neighborhood. He was barred. But the woman that's supposed to be his girlfriend, she kept dealing with him. He kept sneaking in the neighborhood, cloaked in disguise. The only reason he got off was because that woman was in her 90s, and I guess they could not trust her word because she was in her 90s and they probably thought dementia was setting in. I don't know. But he got off on a technicality. But for some reason, this man keeps smiling and grinning up in my face. Now, mind you, before the incident, the alleged incident where he allegedly assaulted this older woman, this man never had two words to say to me, barely. He would see me and wouldn't even speak sometimes, which was fine with me because I don't like speaking to a bunch of, you know, men like that anyway. Because I just, unless it's my partner or a man that I'm really dealing with, I don't deal with men like that. I really don't because they're problematic. They are problematic. So now all of a sudden, he's going out of his way to speak to me and always trying to smile up in my face. Then he saw my mother and told my mother, "Tell your son I said hi." Why are you telling my mother to tell me hi? You've never been that eager to speak to me before. So I saw him leaving my neighbor's house one day. He saw me and He spoke to me and I didn't speak back. And if I give you, listen, if I don't like somebody, I can't fake the funk. I can't fake the funk. And I just want to talk about this to get it off my chest before I get into the main topic of this video. I cannot fake the funk if I do not like you. And I'm not going to fake the funk. And nobody is going to force me to speak to them if I don't want to. If I don't want to speak to you, I'm not going to speak to you. No man is going to force me to speak to him. They do the exact same thing to women. They try to force women to deal with them when they don't want to deal with them. The only person he needs to be concerned about speaking to him is the woman that he's supposed to be in a fake relationship with, but he's only using that woman because she has multiple sclerosis and she has mental problems. So he saw me one day coming out of my place. He was doing something for a neighbor of mine, and I don't know why she deals with him after she knows what he did to child. But anyway, he saw me. He comes smiling and speaking to me. I didn't even, I gave him the look of death, and I kept it moving. If I am constantly showing you with my energy that I don't like you, and men, especially black men, have this habit. Or maybe it's black people in general, I don't know. But they have a habit. If I'm showing you that I don't like you, why do you keep going out of your way to speak to me? Especially when that's not your normal pattern. Because like I said, before he assaulted that elderly woman, this man never had too much to say to me. He never had too much to say to me. Now all of a sudden, you smiling and grinning up in my face. If you don't get the fluke away from me, if you don't get the fluke away from me, number one, I don't fool with your kind. And number two, you're not going to force me to speak to you. So when he saw me that day, he had a puzzled look on his face like, why isn't he speaking to me? Why won't he talk to me? That was the look that he had on his face. Why are you worried about getting validation from me? Me and you are not fucking. We're not fucking. We're not friends. You are nobody to me. I don't know you like that. That reminds me of that episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta when the ladies took a trip to South Africa. And Sheree had a friend in South Africa. And Marlo was mad because Sheree was not going to invite her to her friend's house. Right? Sheree had a friend. I'm sorry. Sheree had a friend in South Africa. Marlo was mad because Sheree invited Cynthia, Candy, and I believe Phaedra. Kim Zolciak was still on the show, but she didn't go on that trip to South Africa. But Marlo was mad because Sheree did not invite her. And Sheree was like, you can come if you want to. I mean, you want to go now? But the thing is, Sheree was not obligated to really take her. And then Marlo, and see, that's when I really did not like Marlo then. She went on Sheree and started cussing her out and calling her, telling her she looked like a man and all that. All because Sheree really didn't want her to go. She didn't know you like that, Marlo. And it's the same thing with this dude right here. I don't know you like that. And I am not going to be forced to speak to somebody, the number one, that I don't like, and number two, that I don't know like that. And why are you looking for all this validation and attention from me? I don't have to speak to you. I don't owe you shit. You ain't my uncle. You ain't nobody to me. There are relatives I don't even want to speak to. So what makes you think that I have to speak to you? I mean, you should have seen the way he was looking at me as if, he's entitled to me speaking to him. If I don't want to speak to you, I don't want to speak to you. And if he ever says anything to me, I'm going to say, let me tell you something. Why are you so worried about me speaking to you? You and I ain't never been no friends. I'm going to tell him straight like that. See, they don't like that type of direct. They don't like that type of direct energy. They would rather for people to be passive aggressive. And if I'm not mistaken, this man is a Gemini. He's a May Gemini. I don't owe this man shit. But it really just goes, it really goes to the credit to what I was talking about earlier in reference to Morgan Spurlock and how we live in a culture where people try to control and dominate us. Now, this man is trying to force me to talk to him, and I've had men do this to me my entire life, trying to force me to talk to them when I don't like you. And maybe you didn't do anything for me not to like you, but maybe I just don't like your energy. I don't like you. I don't like him because of his actions and the fact that he lacks integrity and he likes to beat up on old women. Why would I speak to somebody like that? Now, these other people, they may conveniently be okay or conveniently forget what he did, but I don't. And I never will. Let me say this. You do not have to give energy to anyone that you don't want to. Now, my mother and other older people, they have a difference of opinion than I do, and that's okay. My mother said, well, I just go ahead and speak because I don't want to be rude and I don't want to seem like I'm ignorant. I don't give a fuck if he thinks I'm ignorant or not. I don't give a fuck. This is a man that beat up on an old woman and got away with it. So I really don't care anything about his feelings. I don't care anything about his feelings. And it's so unfortunate a year after that incident, that lady died. She died last year. He beat her up in 2022. She died last year. And I really feel like the community failed her. They failed her. And I think because this is a predominantly black community, but she's been living here longer. When this community was all white, she was the one she was here before all of us. So she was an elder and she had been here for a long time. And then that happened to her because they choose to allow these types of people to come into these types of communities when he should have never been allowed to come into this type of community. He should have never been allowed to come here. But he's worried about me speaking to him. You do not have to exchange energy with anyone that you don't want to. And see, a lot of times, people like that guy, people like him are very sneaky, deceptive, and they always have an ulterior motive. Now, I'm not saying this to be absurd or to be delusional, but I'm starting to wonder, does he have an attraction towards me or something? Like, why is this dude always trying to speak to me when I'm giving you stink face? I don't even look at him. I don't even look at him. I don't even look at him. If he catches me in a day where I'm not really paying attention, I'll be like, if he say hi to me, hi, how you doing? If he say that to me, This is how I speak back to him. Listen to it. Hi, hi, hi. If I'm speaking to you like that, that means I don't like you. But black people have a problem with going on about their business and leaving people alone if they don't like you. It's almost as if they try to force people to have something to do with them. And it's not just black people to do this, but I live in a predominantly black area and my experiences are mainly with other black people. I don't have too many experiences with white people because there are not a lot of white people around that I deal with directly on a regular basis. Because the DMV, despite what people think, is a very racist, segregated place, even though it's supposed to be the cradle of liberalism. It's really not. It's anything but. You know, bad policies, bad decision making. I could go on and on. But you do not have to exchange energy with anyone that you do not like. You don't need permission to say, I don't want to speak to that person. And I don't want to talk to that person. You know? Even if it's somebody that don't want to speak to me, that's fine. Everybody's energy is not compatible. It's just simply not on a friendship level, not on a level for a lover, not on an associate level, none of that. Sometimes people are just not compatible. And I am not, and I'm going to say it again, I am not going to be forced to speak or deal with someone that I don't want to deal with. You should have saw he was looking at me like, why he don't talk to me? Why he don't speak to me? And it's always these old ass black men. This motherfucker looked every bit of 55 plus, damn near 60. I really don't know how old he is because he looks he looks kind of rough. But I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you a hello or a hi. And I know people say, well, it don't hurt to speak. Yes, it do. That's exchanging energy and pleasantries. And there's nothing about him that I find pleasant. See, I can't be fake about people that I don't like. If I don't like you, you're going to get like that. And I'm going to keep it moving. Or I might stick up my hand and be hi and keep it moving. If you don't like that, then don't speak to me then. That's a deterrence, and it should let you know that I don't like you. But for some reason, with him and other men, and I've mainly seen this with men, for some reason it doesn't click with them. This person is being dismissive towards me. Maybe if they stop doing all them drugs and stop drinking all the time, then they would have a little bit better perception. Is that the right word? They would be a little bit more perceptive and receptive to the fact that some people are just not feeling you. I didn't like him before the incident that happened with that elderly woman. I didn't care for him then. I didn't care for him then. But you do not have to exchange energy with people that you don't like. You do not have to exchange that energy with them. You don't have to speak to them. You don't have to acknowledge them. If they want to acknowledge you, then you suck up that energy and you transmute it and you use it for whatever you want. Because he's always up in my fucking face and got a girlfriend, but then tell people they just friends. But you living in that woman's apartment, right? Ciao, bye. Anyway, this is what I really wanted to talk about. But let me reiterate, you don't have to exchange energy with anyone that you feel uncomfortable with exchanging energy with. And I mainly say that to women, especially black women, because a lot of times Black women get bullied into having to exchange energies with men that they don't want to exchange it with. You go into the store, you're just trying to go in there and buy you some groceries, get you some milk, get you some orange juice, and some nigga coming up in your face, whether you got a boyfriend or not, coming up in your face, harassing you. You walking down the street trying to get to where you're trying to get, they honking the horn and harassing you, giving you unwanted, and then if you don't want to speak back to them, they'll cuss you out. And it seems like they're starting to do the same thing to other men too. Just like last year when I went to the eye doctor to get my I wear glasses to get my glasses to get some new glasses. I went to the eye doctor place to get my glasses. Some dude, some dusty ass dude, kept trying to talk to me. Let me tell him. Give me a second. I got a message. Wait a minute. I'm recording a video. Excuse me. So some dusty ass dude was trying to talk to me and would not leave me alone. He kept asking me, "You all right? You all right?" No, that was his way of trying to pick me up on a slick tip. Probably trying to get me to give him some money for sex. Cause they out here prostituting too, child. I made a video about that last year. Yes, I am okay. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. See, I'm getting older now, and I don't like no men approaching me, bothering me. If I don't want to speak to you, I don't want to speak to you. Especially if I have a good reason not to speak to you. But I wanted to say that mainly to women. You do not have to exchange your energy with anyone. You don't have to smile at them. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to say nothing to them if you don't want to. Because a lot of times they try to bully women into talking to them. And now they're trying to bully men into talking to them. I know I'm cute. I know I'm cute. But I don't want to talk to you. I know I have pretty lips. But I don't want to talk to you. And my man lives with me. And you know I got a man. Why would I want you? Like, leave people alone. I don't know what's wrong with these men nowadays. I don't know. But anyway, this is what I really wanted to talk about briefly. Harrison Butker, I believe that's his name, the young man's name. He plays for the NFL. Let me see. I believe he plays on the same team that Travis Kelce plays on. Taylor Swift's boyfriend, that nice looking white boy. And he's a nice looking white boy too. Harrison Butker. Let me see. He's a football kicker, and he plays for the let's see. Let's see. He plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. Yeah, he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not really into football, so I wouldn't know what team he played for. But anyway, he recently made some very controversial statements and comments in reference to a lot of different things. So his views align with more conservative views. And hey, listen, I'm not here to beat up on him about that. Everyone has a right to their own personal views. This is not a personal attack on him. It's more so an observation and a confirmation of what I've been saying about control, and more control over the masses of people. And this is what I'm talking about. He did a commencement speech. Let me see. He did a commencement speech at let me look it up. Let me see. Give me a second. I believe it was at some type of Catholic institution because he's a Catholic. Let's see. Okay. He grew up as a Catholic and he practiced less as he got older, he was saying. But now he's a devout Catholic and he attends the Latin Mass. So let me see. So that's like the traditional Latin Mass, traditional rite, whatever. So he made some very controversial statements in reference to Jewish people, um, and he also said some things about women as well. And that's what I really wanted to talk about. Now, I believe this young man is married, and that's fine. But from what I'm reading, he did not say it overtly, but he's saying it covertly. He does not believe that women should work. He does not believe that women should have a career. He thinks that women should be at home barefoot and pregnant. And if that is what that individual woman wants to do, then that's fine. But when I read some of the things that he said in reference to women and their so called place, he was even attacking women in a sense. Not attacking, I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. He was covertly shaming women who have their own business. He was shaming women who had aspirations for greater opportunities in their career. He was telling women basically that, you're chasing these careers, you're chasing, the bag, and I'm using my own words, but this is basically what he was saying, that chasing those things or wanting those things is not the life that God wants for you because he's under the energy of Catholicism. And then he was talking about he spoke out against the LGBT community, from what I understand. He said something in reference, he took a dig at, I think Pride Month is coming up in June. And he said something about that. Listen, let me tell you something. I'm a 45-year-old grown man almost. And I have made peace with the fact that it used to, 10 years ago, it used to anger me. But I have made peace with the fact that some people are just not going to like you. You know what I'm saying? Some people are just not going to like you. And being a gay person, I understand that better than anyone can possibly imagine. Some people will like you today, but then tomorrow they'll hate you. You know what I'm saying? They'll like you for a week and then they'll turn on you. Yeah. So I am prepared for whatever life throws at me. I've been called every gay slur you can think of. It has no impact on me anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, if that is how that young man feels, that is just simply how he feels. Again, I'm not attacking him for his personal beliefs. It's just what it is. I am mature enough and I am secure enough, mature and secure enough in my own being to not allow that to affect me. Number one, he's a white straight man. There's nothing he has for me, and there's nothing I have for him. There's nothing he can do for me. That's number one. Number two, he's considerably younger. He's a nice looking young guy. He was born in 1995. Very mature and manly for his age, you know? And his team, Travis Kelsey, he spoke very highly of him, despite his views. But one interesting thing? He didn't say anything negative about black people. He didn't say not one negative thing about black people. That's very interesting because usually the trajectory is they will go for the Jewish community, the LGBT community, then the black community. So I don't know. I don't know the context of what he really represents. So I'm not going to judge him based upon his comments personally because it's not about the personal part, if that makes sense. I'm fine and I will live with him not liking or not supporting gay people. I can live with that. I can live with that. I'm okay with that. I don't need his support. However, the problem is this. When you wield the type of influence that this man wields in social media, that is where the problem comes in. Because with great influence comes great responsibility. Now, he talked about everything that's wrong with the world. He talked about everything that's wrong with politics. He talked about everything that's wrong with women. Like I said, he doesn't think women basically should be working or striving for success, to have their own businesses, to work or whatever they want to do. He doesn't believe in any of that. He talks about everything that's wrong with the world at large. But yet he is a devout follower of a religion that is known for brutality, immoral acts, and harming children. Do we need to talk about the priest within the Catholic Church and the things they have done to children? Do we need to talk about those things? Hey, yeah, I'm doing a video. You hear me? Hey, so he has a lot to say about the world and what, a woman's place should be and how women are out of place and how the world is out of place. And he's influencing the minds of a lot of different people. And that is the real problem. I don't have an issue with his personal views. I don't have an issue with his personal convictions on anything. But when you wield that type of influence, there comes, with that comes great responsibility. And I think that people like that can sometimes, and I'm not saying this necessarily about him, but I think that people like that sometimes become very reckless and they hide behind religion. It doesn't matter if it's Catholicism, it doesn't matter if it's Christianity, it doesn't matter if it's Jehovah's Witnesses. They hide behind religion. Because if we really peel back the layers, like I said earlier, and we really examine all of the horrible things that have happened to children under Catholicism, we can have a real conversation. But yet he's throwing digs at the LGBT community, and he has an ideology of what he believes women should and should not be doing. And again, if that works for his wife to be barefoot and pregnant and to be a homemaker, and if that works for certain women, there is no judgment here because I believe people should be able to do whatever they want to do as long as it's not hurting on it or infringing on other people. And people like this man and his ideologies, they infringe on other people, especially when you have the responsibility or you wield or yield that type of power in social media where you can control the minds of other people and having some type of political and religious positioning and power. And what's so interesting is his mother is a physicist. She's a scientist. She is a physicist, from what I understand. So it's interesting hearing him have these types of interesting views when it comes to, I guess, male female roles. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for a man to want his woman to stay home. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but it has to be what she wants. If that's what she wants to do, then that's fine. But for him to make a generalized statement about all women and what all women should be doing, that is where I have a problem. I don't care anything about the LGBT stuff. I don't care anything about that because people are going to dislike LGBT people until the end of time, no matter how many laws they pass, no matter how many times they say we support you. It doesn't matter. People are going to always find fault with LGBT people, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But it's the influence that these people have. It's the same thing with Andrew Tate. I don't have anything personal against him because I don't know him personally. But it's the influence that they bring and how they want to bring in a certain amount of control over the masses of people because they believe that they're entitled to do that because they have money and because they have backing by certain institutions. Andrew Tate, he went from being, I believe, an atheist, now he's a Muslim or Islamic. Butker, Harrison Butker, he went from not practicing Catholicism, now he's back to practicing it again. And then he comes up with all of these ideologies under his ritualized religion. And that's okay. People can be involved in whatever religion they want to be involved in. But when you are a person who's a public figure and you start putting things out into the universe, that is what I have a problem with. Because it doesn't just stop there. Then they're going to start trying to get legislation and laws passed secretly to try to influence certain things. It's all about control. Just like that story that came out a couple of weeks ago, or about a week or so ago, the young man, black young man, who was a teacher, he was allowing his female students to braid his hair, and it was a big controversy about that, right? There was a big controversy about it, and a lot of people did not like it. He got a lot of backlash for it, And if I'm not mistaken, I think he got fired from his job. Now, here's where I'm at with it. And I'm trying to choose my words carefully. That was inappropriate to look at. That was very inappropriate. Now, I know some people were saying, well, it was harmless. And I've even listened to some people say that why does the black community over sexualize everything? Because some people were saying that it looked a little too intimate. I don't know what that young man's intentions were. I'm not saying that he's a predator. I'm not saying that because I don't know that to be true. And I don't want to put that mantle on someone if it's not true. I want to save that for someone who actually deserves it. But that does look weird and inappropriate. I'm just saying. Because school, unless they're in cosmetology school, you don't have your students braiding your hair. Again, I'm not saying that there was anything sexually motivated behind it, but it was inappropriate nevertheless. Nevertheless, you don't do that. You don't do that. When I was coming up in school, I couldn't play in my female teacher's hair. I couldn't do that. But there were other people who said that his punishment was too harsh, that there was nothing wrong with it. And they were getting upset with the people who said that there was something wrong with it. Well, see, that's that control shit right there again. That's that control shit. How you gonna get mad because people got their own opinion about it? And then you want to push that out into the universe. This is why people homeschool their children. Stuff like this is why people homeschool their children. And again, I don't know, I'm not saying that there was anything sexually motivated behind it, but that's inappropriate. That is inappropriate in my opinion, and I don't give a fuck who disagrees with it. Because opinions are like assholes. But I'm not going to tell somebody else that they're wrong and try to shame other people for having their own personal perspective and opinions on it. That's their right. What I don't understand, and I'm going to say it again about the whole Harrison Butker situation, is that he ignores the atrocities that the Catholic Church has committed against children. He ignores that while trying to tell women what their place should be in the home. But you're married. He's already married. So why are you worried about other women and whether or not they have careers or not? Why are you worried about that? The only woman that he should be focused on is the one he goes home to at night. See, that is how I know what he is saying is agenda based. He wants to implement some type of law that he wants to put out into the universe so it can manifest. Then he was talking about Jewish people making reckless claims about Jewish people. But again, this ain't personal, but it is spiritual. Because these are the things when people put speeches are spell work, or they can be. When people make speeches and stuff like that, that's spell work. He's putting spell work out into the universe. When I read the things he was saying about a woman's place And I think he was referring to his wife, but I think he was referring to all women covertly in general. That's spell work. When people give speeches, they use spell work and neurolinguistics to hypnotize the audience. Because he gave a commencement speech at some Catholic institution, I can't remember. So while you're pointing out what's wrong with the rest of the world, why aren't you calling out what all those Catholic priests did to those children? Why aren't you talking about that? That's just like that proposed 2025 proposal, some proposal where I think the Republicans are trying to, strip away certain rights, certain civil rights, and all this stuff. But they don't say in, they want to take away, I think, adults' ability to look at, dirty movies and stuff like that, or stag movies. You know what I'm saying? They want to take away adults' rights to look at adult stag movies, but yet nothing in that proposal said anything about the other P word and stopping that, or putting more restrictions on people and giving people harsher sentences for those types of crimes. Nothing in that proposal, in that 2025 project, nothing in there about that. But they're worried about consenting adults sleeping together, right? And they're trying to tell grown women, well, this Butker person, this football player, he's trying to tell grown women and trying to basically shame grown women through spell work and tell them that, I know you all want your careers, and I know that, you may be the head of your own company, but in the long run, basically, he's saying that you'll regret it. That's what he's telling women. Again, the only woman he should be concerned about is his wife. That's the only woman he should be concerned about. But this is what these people do for control. They want control over masses of people. This is what they want to do. So it's not just about a personal thing with them. They want to apply this to everyone. Now, I really don't know. That's why I said earlier, I'm really not concerned about the LGBT comments, because I don't know what he said. And I can't find the comments that he said about the LGBT community. But it doesn't matter, because it's still all the same thing: control, influence, manipulation. And then people will say, well, you hating on him. No, I'm not. I don't know him to hate on him. The man has nothing that I want. He's a straight heterosexual white man that has views that I don't align with. There's nothing sexually appealing about him. I mean, he's a nice looking guy, but there's nothing sexually appealing about him. I wouldn't sleep. I don't want to sleep with him. I don't want his money. I don't want anything from him, because I already know what he's about. He's about control, pure and simple. And, a lot of times women that have to, or who go that route with those types of men, there's a price that they have to pay for that. Some of them women are getting abused, if not physically, emotionally, and mentally. You be thinking that these women are living their best lives, and you thinking these men are taking care of them. No, they're not. Some of them men are beating on them. They're tyrants in the household. They're nasty. They're evil. So sometimes that's a double-edged sword, you know? But anyway, what do I know? But again, this is just more confirmation from my observation of how people like this, they just want to be in control. They want to control your energy. They want to control your mind. They want to control your money. So again, it's not really personally about him, but it's about what he's putting out into the universe. The same thing with Morgan Spurlock. It wasn't personal about him, it was what he was putting out into the universe. The fear. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. And I look forward to my next video. But again, you do not have to speak or exchange energy with anyone that you don't want to, ladies. If you don't want to smile at them, you don't have to. If you don't want to talk to them, you don't have to. Anyway, that's all I got to say. This is the Occult View.